So science is constantly pushing the boundaries. It seems more and more things are becoming possible that were the stuff of science fiction only a very short time ago. In regards to living longer, how long would you like to live if you had a choice? To be 100? No, we can do that already. How about 150? 200? Would you like to live forever? So people are living longer anyway. If you look at the stats, even from 50 years ago, never mind 100 years ago, people are regularly living now well into their 80s and beyond. Assuming you don't get some kind of terminal condition. And they reckon that the children who are among us at the moment will maybe live for 120. That's what they're saying. That's just as things are, with no actual input or influence from the boffins, the scientific people. So there has been, probably always, but there is now a big effort and a big impetus to try and come up with ways to stretch out the human lifespan scientifically by various methods, and they're making quite big strides in that. And just looking into it, as I've been doing, there are some very interesting things on the horizon. Now, there's always the debate: how long do you want to live? Are we meant to live that long? It comes down to quality of life issues at that point. I mean, would you want to live to be 200 if your second 100 years was you slumped in a chair in an old folks home, barely able to move? And would you want that? Me? Nah, I'd pass on that. But what if they could somehow stop the clock, or possibly in another scenario, plug you into a computer or something, upload you? Let's have a look at what is going on. And the first thing that popped into my in-tray regarding this kind of got me thinking about it, was some research this has come out of Israel. This is from Israel 21 magazine. Don't read it, but this popped up on one of my feeds, so I thought this might be worth a quick look. Researchers can extend the lifespan of mice. Are we next? Well, are we indeed? Scientists from Israel and Kiev induce long-term decrease in metabolic rate and body temperature of warm-blooded animals for the first time, by Abigail Klein-Leichman. This is from June 3rd. So, hello, Granny. She's no spring chicken. She's probably about 105-ish, give or take. It's all right. Right, okay, let's go on. The naked mole rat never develops age-related diseases. Good for the naked mole rat. It stays active and enjoys good bone health, reproductive success, this is always important, and mental acuity for its lifespan of up to 30 years. All right, so there you go. There's some benefits to being a naked mole rat that I never knew. Two of many reasons for this creature's healthy longevity are its low body temperature and slow metabolic rate. Fair enough. For the first time, researchers from the Institute of Gerontology in Kiev and Professor Vadim Freifeld's lab for the biology of aging at Ben Gurion University of the Negev in Israel have replicated those conditions in lab mice. Right, okay, bit of splicing of genes, I should imagine there. A naked mole rat generally lives about 8 times longer than a mouse, despite its similar size. The research results, published in Biogerontology, another publication I don't read, to be honest, have intriguing implications for increasing longevity and decreasing major pathologies in humans as well. According to the boffins, the naked mole rat's burrows are poorly ventilated, keeping oxygen levels low and carbon dioxide levels high. This may cause the reduction in the naked mole rat's body temperature by 3 to 4 degrees as compared to mice and slow its metabolism significantly. Oh, good lord. There you go. It's a naked mole rat there. Yeah. I don't know, if I looked like that, I probably wouldn't want to live longer.
You one ugly motherfucker.
Subjecting laboratory mice to the same conditions, called a hypoxic hypercapnic environment, HHE, for those of you out there who like those little shortened versions, successfully reduced their body temperatures and metabolic intensity for weeks and even months. And the mice in the HHE voluntarily consumed less food, which is one of the well-known factors in increasing longevity. Right, so if you eat less, seems to go well for you in the aging department. Unexpectedly, the HHE accelerated skin wound healing. Despite the lower energy expenditure, the researchers also noted. All right. All in all, a chronic exposure to HHE offers a potential of being a lifespan extending intervention as well as an efficient tool for treating the overweight and associated metabolic disorders. So a lot of fringe benefits there, it seems, from the HHE. The scientists explained that at one point in history, the Earth contained much lower levels of oxygen and higher levels of carbon dioxide. There is still some memory in our cells of that period, and therefore it should be possible in the future to induce such a state for longer periods, they said. Moreover, they believe that HHE conditions could be used to help fight obesity, which is becoming a bigger, no pun intended, a bigger and bigger problem all the time. Diabetes and perhaps even cancer. So there could be a lot of spin-offs from this, apart from, you getting a few extra years out of yourself. You could be slimming down. We could be all trim. We could be all looking our best. All right, so that's promising. Secrets of a long life. The naked mole rat. Let's see if you want to see him again. There you go.
You one ugly motherfucker.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of naked mole rats. But there you are. Each to their own. The naked mole rat. What to call this? Heterocephalus glaber.
What you talking about, Mr. D?
Alright, let's just stick with the naked mole rat. A rodent native to East Africa has long been the subject of study because of its unusual healthy longevity and particularly its resistance to cancer. So they've been looking at the naked mole rat for quite a while, it seems, and trying to figure out how do they do it. Well, it seems they've kind of figured it out, or they're certainly getting there. In 2012, Tel Aviv University evolutionary biologist Dorothy Hutchin and colleagues at the Texas Health Science Center and the City College of New York determined another reason for the naked mole rat's unusual life expectancy: very high levels of a neuroprotective protein called neuregulin, NRG1, in its brain. Alright, wouldn't mind a bottle of that. Because NRG1 is also found in the human brain, Huchon and her fellow researchers suggested that learning more about how aging and NRG1 are related could be significant. Fryfield studies many aspects of human aging genomics. Graduate students in his lab for the biology of aging at BGU won an award for their study on longevity genes, genetic protective factors that some people are lucky enough to inherit. Well, I'm sure you've seen that. Some people age really well. I mean, you're looking at somebody and they're 60-something and they look 40. It's genes, it's always been said somebody's got the genes. Good genes there. Anyway, you know the story. By modulating the activity of these genes in advanced age, it could be possible to combat major diseases. Quote, Although an apparent paradox, it seems that the most effective way to delay or even to avert age-related diseases is to live longer, Fairfield told Israel 21C. Another prominent Israeli longevity researcher, Bar Ilan University's Chaim Cohen, recently published a study showing that SIRT6, considered a longevity-related protein, is involved in regulating biological processes, including aging, obesity, insulin resistance, inflammation, and metabolism. His team hopes to identify therapeutic approaches that target and activate SIRT6. Well, I wouldn't mind getting a bit of that activated in me. It sounds bloody great. Absolutely marvellous. Okay, that's one take in it. So they're basically they're studying the whole mole rat thing. Good looking bloke, good looking fella there. Wouldn't want too many of them in my house, but certainly they're scoring high on the not get sick factor and the live long factor, certainly compared to mice. So they're trying to crack that, and they seem to have a handle on what makes that work. Now, another take on the whole living longer thing, apart from this whole splice and dice gene thing and protein thing and activating of cells and activating of probably bits of cells that we have or we could have, is this. Have a look at let's have a look at our old friend here, Elon Musk. What's he been saying? Now, Elon has got a thing going. Neuralink is basically essentially what he's trying to do, what he is doing. He's done it with monkeys so far to a degree, and he seems to have something new in the pipeline which he's telling everybody is going to be absolutely fantastic, but we'll have to wait and see what that is. So essentially Elon has been putting forward this hypothesis that artificial intelligence is going to just take off at some point. It's going to develop a method of smart learning in which it won't need us to teach it anymore. It'll just take all the knowledge it needs essentially from the internet at its own lightning speed, and so we will become, well, as he says here, humans must merge with machines, says Elon, or become irrelevant in the AI age. There he is, there's the man himself. So what he's been basically saying is AI is going to take off anyway. Regardless, it's only a question of time. It's not a question of if, it's merely a question of when. His take on it is that we're better off in some way merging with it or connecting with it in an attempt to kind of at least keep pace with it, as opposed to letting it just run amok itself, because we all know where that can lead. So that's his take on it. Now, you can have your own views on that, but he's basically trying to connect us to give us a means of connecting to computers or to an AI, because at the moment our only physical means of interacting with a computer, with the internet, with your phone, is through your fingers. Essentially, you've got, fingers and thumbs. That's it. How fast can you type? That's how fast you can interact with AI. Okay, there's some speech stuff, but it's certainly nowhere as developed as it should be or could be. Whereas if you could have plugged direct into your mind, well, the sky's the limits at that stage. So what Elon says here is, over time, is a quote from Elon, I think we will probably see a closer merger of biological intelligence and digital intelligence. He told the World Government Summit in Dubai. Quote, it's mostly about the bandwidth, the speed of connection between your brain and the digital version of yourself, particularly output. So we're all carrying phones, we've all got iPads or the equivalent, and we've got PCs at home and stuff, and these are all basically our link to AI, to the world of information, essentially, apart from what's in your head. Now, where does that lead us? Well, that leads us to here from the Inquisitor. Mind trip. Humans to live forever by 2030, as person's consciousness could be uploaded to computer. So, all right, we're kind of pushing the envelope here a little bit more than just dicking around with proteins. But whereas proteins and metabolism manipulation, yeah, well, that'll crank out a few more years. Possibly, or maybe even a lot more years out of you. But if you could just upload yourself to a flipping computer, yeah, well, the sky's the limit then, baby. All right, what have we got here from the Inquisitor? Tara West. She's nice. Yeah, okay. Want to live forever? Is the question. Tara asks, according to some of the leading minds in the world, including Stephen Hawking, by 2030 we should have the capability to upload a person's consciousness to a computer system. This would allow the human mind to live on in a virtually created world after the body has died, even interacting with other uploaded consciousness on the server. Essentially, you'd just be uploaded to the internet, according to this. She goes on, The New Yorker recently reported on the surge in scientists interested in finding a way to preserve human consciousness after the body has died. In fact, it is noted that a growing number of researchers have stepped into this field of thought and are working diligently to bring immortality, at least of the mind, to the mainstream. Stephen Hawking, renowned man of science, as one of the most powerful minds on Earth, has said the idea is not completely science fiction. In fact, he says it is theoretically possible as computer capabilities increase exponentially. Right, so science is constantly just forging ahead, and the things they're doing now, even a few short years ago, were deemed the stuff of science fiction. If you saw, there's things they can do now. If you saw in a film 20 years ago, you'd say, I don't know about that that's a bit unbelievable. I don't know if I can buy into that. It's a bit too much. But now they're actually doing stuff in reality. Let's go on. According to the Telegraph, Hawking notes that the human brain works in a similar fashion to a computer. Well, I think we'd all buy into that. The brain runs like a program in the mind, which is exactly how a computer works. Therefore, it would be possible to copy all the pathways in the mind to a computer and allow for some sort of afterlife experience. Well, of course, that's all well and good, but then you get into this kind of deeper discussion about, have we got a soul? What's the soul do? What's the soul got to do with everything? What part does a soul play? Does a soul exist? I mean, that's just a whole, you're into that territory there. Let's see what else she has to say here. In addition to Hawking, futurist Ray Kurzweil, who has penned a series of books, I suppose that should be penned, who has penned a series of books discussing, and even he calls singularity. Kurzweil agrees with Hawking and claims that the capabilities to upload the human mind may be available as early as 2030. Kurzweil outlines his idea of exactly how the uploaded human consciousness may interact with other consciousness via a sort of internet server. Kurzweil's website provides details of how the conversations and experiences may take place. For example, in the future, all minds, including both the living and the dead, may be connected to an internet server. If individuals wanted to meet virtually, they could simply request to be connected with another individual. I suppose like a Zoom call, except some people would only be in the screen. That's where there wouldn't be any other part of them. They'd only be in the screen. But you may be able to kind of connect with them and have a chat with them. And yeah, I can see this. I can get my head around this, because I think this is where we're heading anyway. This is a direction we seem to be heading, inexorably. Based on, if you look at the path of computers, how quickly they've developed, the computing power, how quickly that has developed. We're now knocking on the door of what they call quantum computers, which is another massive leap forward. And if you marry that to the internet, which is basically the whole world is connected to one thing, essentially. One big cloud, as they call it. Anyway, I can see it. I can see it. Here's a quote here. It must be from Kurzweil. Our scanning machines today can clearly capture neural features as long as the scanner is very close to the source. Within 30 years, however, we will be able to send billions of nanobots, blood cell size scanning machines through every capillary of the brain to create a complete non-invasive scan of every neural feature. A shot full of nanobots will someday allow the most subtle details of our knowledge, skills and personalities to be copied into a file and stored in a computer. Of course, there's also the other aspect of, will it end up as just a prison? Would you be wanting to die? This is the other thing. You're getting into all kinds of philosophical a lot of interesting bits and bobs to this, which I'm not going to go into now. But essentially, the 2045 initiative, let's just finish the article, which deals directly with preserving human consciousness through technology, has set a goal for transferring the human brain to an artificial intelligence avatar by no later than 2035. So they're really going gung-ho at this. What do you think of the idea of living forever in a virtual world? Would you allow your brain and consciousness to be uploaded to a computer server if you had the option, says Tara. All right, that's there you go. There's two takes on the whole living longer and possibly living forever. Would it be what you'd do? Would you take it up? Would you be afraid of it? Would you want yourself downloaded to a computer or an AI, or downloaded to the internet? I don't know. It's. I certainly wouldn't want to be the first one to do it. I don't want to be the first one to try it. If I'm still around, I'll wait and see how that all pans out. But certainly, our friend the mole rat there, good-looking chap as he is, he's got some good stuff, I think, for us in terms of the ability to fight cancer, the ability to somehow control obesity or fight obesity or solve obesity, which is becoming, as I said, a bigger and bigger problem, no pun intended, in the world today. Yes, that I could buy into that. As I said, I don't really want to live an extra 50 years if I'm going to be slumped in a chair, looking like Rip Van Winkle, barely able to move and barely knowing who I am. Nah, I'll pass on that one. But if I could be out kicking ball with the lads for an extra 30 or 40 years, yeah, give me some of that mole rat protogen or proteins or whatever, the energy ones. Give me a bottle of energy one. I'll take a bit of that, bit of ice, and few oysters, and Bob's your uncle, you're good to go. So yeah, interesting times, and who knows, we could all be living longer or possibly living forever.